This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about binging old-timey bra commercials, how one man's delicacy is another man's fertilizer, and our need for a supermarket sweep Ninja Warrior crossover game show. All that and more as we watch Season 3, Episode 5 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Imran. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me every week, every episode, is my sister, Sophia. What's up, Sophia?
Hi, Imran. I am doing so well. I just got back from a big trip to Costco.
Oh, I love the Costco.
I am all stocked up with 5 gallons of mayonnaise and 12 pounds of almonds. And boy, did I get them at a bargain.
I bet you did. Can you spare 3 pounds of dry macaroni? I just need that right now.
Sure.
Okay, great. Ship that over. That's great you went shopping. It fits in perfectly with this episode's theme. We are at Season 3, Episode 5 of Perfect Strangers. This episode titled Better Shop Around, Sophia.
Oh, that reminds me of the 1960 song by The Miracles.
Better shop around, shop. Oh, yeah. That's a great song. How can you not think of that instantly?
And if you were to open the TV guide for this episode, you would have read, as winners of a shopping spree, conspicuous consumers Balky and Larry race the clock to get as much as they can at the supermarket.
Oh, fun. And just to clarify, the title isn't Better Shop Around, Sophia. It's just Better Shop Around. I realize that may sound like you were part of it, but it should have been. Your name should have been in the title. Of course, Perfect Strangers starring the hilarious Bronson Pinchot, Mark Lynn Baker. We have Rebecca Arthur as Marianne, Melanie Wilson as Jennifer Lyons, and a couple of other guest cast members we will talk about as we get to them. This episode airing October 21st, 1987.
We open Act 1 in a new place that we've never been before. We are in the inside of Bob's Market, which seems to be like a grocery store, a supermarket. Smallish one, but big for a set. And we see that they're having a grand opening sale at Bob's Market, or like a grand opening. There's like balloons and banners and clowns and such all around the market. And Balky is inside, and we have this opening gag. There's like a lady giving out little samples of bits of hot dog on toothpicks.
Cheese dogs.
Cheese dogs.
Free cheese dogs. Get your cheese dogs.
And the opening gag has Balky just like loading up the cart with packages of hot dogs. And Larry comes up and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Balky's like, no, they're free. And Larry's like, "No, those are free." And he points to the little bites with the toothpicks in it. And then he picks up a package of hot dogs. He's like, "These are $3.95. And he's appalled at how expensive the hot dogs are. So he puts them all back and he's like, "We're not here to get these disgusting hot dogs." He tells Balky, like, "You obviously don't know the basic rules of shopping." And Balky's like, "Well, we don't have rules for shopping on Meepos. Come to think of it, we don't have rules for games."
They don't. How do you know if you're playing the game correctly, Balky?
It's just the game. It's just you hit a rock with a stick.
You have to feel it. There's no rules. Great. Also, $3.95 for hot dogs. You could still get hot dogs for that price, but I think I was looking them up. They're going for like $5 something for an 8-pack.
You can't get anything for $3.95.
You can still get $3.95 hot dogs if you look around.
If you don't care what's inside them. And so here at the end of this scene, we have this line that Larry says at the end that sort of sets up the conflict between the two of them that we already know about. Larry says, "This is America. We have rules for everything. It's what distinguishes us from the unruly." First of all, xenophobic much? You think like he's calling all non-Americans unruly?
It's very America-centric, yes.
Very. So anyway, I had a question about this. So this is like the little opening scene. Nothing major here. But it kind of sets it up so that like Larry's explaining the supermarket to Balky, like the grocery store. But Balky's been in America for quite some time, and they've been living with each other, and presumably he's gone grocery shopping already before this. This can't be his first time.
No,
so I found like the premise of this episode like
but it's not. That's not the premise. The premise is we'll get into is how you shop for the best.
I know, but
deal.
in the beginning they're setting it up like Larry saying like you don't even know how to do comparison.
Listen, you just went to Costco. Those sample tables, they get me going a little crazy too. I have to go to all of them, and then I'm like, ooh, I'm full. I didn't even need to eat a meal. This is great. I don't buy anything. Right. But yeah, it seems like Balky has never been in a grocery store before. Also, this grocery store has a very creepy vibe. You mentioned balloons and clowns, but let's mention this is a very scary looking clown. And even the people shopping there, they seem like they're in some kind of daze or
they're
trance.
Like zombie shoppers.
Yeah, they're zombie shoppers. I'm like, what kind of weird? It has a very creepy vibe. This whole place, Bob's Market.
They're at a zombie supermarket.
It's a lit, real dim and weird. Bob's a zombie, yes. So as Larry's trying to, teach him a lesson, Balky asks Larry if he will teach him about shopping as they walk behind another aisle and deliver lines like when they're not on camera, like they're walking behind. It's really weird how they do this sometimes.
That's true.
Like you can't see him and he's delivering lines way from the back of the set. So Larry's like, okay, I can give you a few tips about comparison shopping. There it is. And Balky goes, well, you're going to have to because I don't even know where they keep the comparison. So that's
such
kind of
a good line.
Okay. What is this? Is it more perfume? Is it a kind of oatmeal? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so Larry tells Balky comparison shopping is when you compare the prices of one item with another. For instance, take this rice. Balky reaches for the rice. He goes, don't take the rice. Balky being all literal. He goes, which package would you choose? And Balky just points at the top one. He goes, well, that one looks nice. And it's actually Uncle Ben's instant rice. It's like an actual brand name. And he goes, very nice and expensive. Larry says, rule one, don't fall for the attractive package trick. You have to compare prices, check the weight, find the best value. And Balky's like, well, where is the best value? And Larry goes, that's where this little baby comes in as he pulls out a calculator from their cart. What a nerd. With a calculator. Of course he's going to have a calculator. He says it's the calculator his father gave him the first time he went shopping alone.
So we have his father to blame.
Yes,
for all
father
of this
sounds
behavior.
a little neurotic. Balky reaches for it. Larry pulls it away. He goes, sometime I'll teach you how to use it. He's not going to let Balky play with the calculator.
Well, it turns out Balky does not need to play with or learn how to use the calculator because the next little scene just shows, and I actually don't know like what this scene accomplishes, but
it shows that Balky is like a savant, like a Rain Man almost, and
or just like Larry's overboard with his neuroticism. So Larry picks up the first box and he's like, okay, he calculates the price by the ounces and he's like punching the numbers in the calculator and Balky just does it in his head before he gets there with the calculator. And then he does it again with the next size box, which is 1 cent cheaper per ounce. And again, Balky calculates it in his head. And then he's like, okay, so that's going to be a better value. Then what about this one? And he points down to like this huge sack of rice, right? Like it's like a 25-pound bag.
Yeah.
And, and then they do the calculation. This time he doesn't let him see the calculator, and he like races to do it before Balky can get it in his head. And that one turns out to be 8 cents an ounce. So he's like, so this is the rice we're gonna get. And he picks it up and he toddles over. He can barely hold it.
It's like a 25-pound bag of rice.
Larry does, and then he puts it into this cart that's in front of them. And
now, if you were watching this very carefully, sister.
Yeah.
You would have noticed that before he does the third price, you see this lady pull this cart in front of him. It's got a pink bag, and she walks away.
Happens often.
I noticed that, and Larry and Balky had not noticed, and they put the rice in that wrong cart.
And and we'll come back to that cart in a minute. But Balky rightly points out the problem with always looking for a bargain like that by buying economy size. Balky's like, we're taking home 25 pounds of rice. And he's like, Larry's like, yes, but by buying economy, we save 4 cents an ounce. And Balky says, but we haven't eaten rice. We've only eaten rice 3 times in the last year. And then Larry says, that means we won't have to buy rice again 4. And he starts punching into the calculator and Balky goes 16 years. And Larry says 16 years. But how does he calculate that? Because they haven't told us how much they eat in one serving.
Oh, he knew how much he eats 1 ounce. But every time like Balky beats him, I love the look. Mark Lindbaker just turns slowly and gives him this like, yeah, I'm useless. This thing is useless. You're beating me every time. So anyways, Larry pulls the cart away, starts to explain to Balky how he organized his shopping list by sections in the store. Yeah. But like we noticed, like we said about the cart, Balky has noticed this is not their cart. He's trying to interrupt and go, but cousin.
And then Larry's like, Balky, I'm trying to explain to the rules. Do you mind? Balky, do you want to learn shopping or not? Do you want to learn shopping or not?
Yes, I do, but cousin. All
right, Balky, watch.
Oh boy.
And learn.
There we have the famous Larry, watch and learn. And this is the funniest part. Just then the lady whose cart it is comes around and she goes, this is my shopping cart. She picks up the 25-pound bag of rice and just tosses it at Larry. He goes, learn to shop. As Larry is just trying to explain how to shop, this lady who must have just had like a surge of adrenaline throws this bag of rice like it's nothing.
Larry's just a weak.
He is. He needs to tone up a little.
And of course, this ends in the same way. Every conversation like this ends between them with Larry saying, why didn't you tell me I took the wrong cart? And Balky saying, well, because I was too busy watching and learning.
Watch, learn.
Oh, snap. So then they go to the checkout line and they start unloading the cart, and there's a customer ahead of them at the checkout, and that there's an electronic cash register that announces in like a robot lady voice.
That's crazy.
The item and the price as the clerk runs it over the scanner. Yeah. And apparently this was a thing. I don't remember this
either. And this is annoying. Why
this just slows everything
annoying. Down?
Yeah.
Why do you need this? But Balky, every time she brings something, he looks up around trying to find what. He turns to Larry and goes, but did you say something? And Larry goes, no, it was the cash register.
Like matter of factly, he's like, no, nothing. It's the cash register.
All cash registers talk. You should know that. So Balky walks up to this checkout girl and goes, excuse me, my cousin tell me that this cash register is talking. And the girl goes, it is. It's the latest thing in grocery technology.
No, that's not how she says it.
You got to do it because this girl,
you have to describe her. It is. It's the latest thing in grocery technology. Pretty radical, huh?
That's
totally deadpan and bored of life.
And we'll talk about her after the show. She looks like she stepped out of a John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
She's got the perfect 80s
Oh, yeah.
perm.
Is she not the same one who checks out Kevin McAllister? Oh, no, that was a nice older lady.
Yeah, and she reminds me of the sister from Ferris Bueller also a little bit.
Yeah.
Jennifer Grey. Remember Jennifer Grey played the sister.
Yeah.
But we'll get into her. You've seen her in a bunch of places, but this is the perfect 80s Valley girl, uninterested Valley girl. So funny.
So then the machine tells the customer in front of them the total, and it says, thank you and have a nice day. And Balky is just super excited. He's like, cousin, machines that talk, and they're so polite. Isn't this fun? And Larry's like, yes, tons. And then he goes, I got to get some antacid.
Of course.
He's like, don't touch anything. And he walks away. Balky reaches to touch something, and Larry from the back of his head goes, eh.
Yeah, he doesn't even see him. He just instinctively without looking. And how can you forget the antacid, Larry? That's the first thing you got to go get.
You got to go to Costco for that.
I also noticed the dude in front of him. If you notice, he's writing a check for the groceries.
Remember that?
Remember when you had to do that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I remember that too. It's so crazy to see.
You had to carry your checkbook around.
I bet some people, I bet some people still do that.
Some people probably still do, yeah.
But that took me back. So the checkout cashier, she's spraying down the scanner when Balky steps up. She asks him how he's doing. She goes, how are you today? Just being polite,
Yeah.
And Balky
also, she is, I saw that between customers, she was spraying down and wiping the scanner. I was like, that's a very COVID era thing to do.
I was like, oh my God.
People didn't do that before.
What? How is this if she kept
Maybe they just needed to give her something to do while he delivered those lines?
If we still practice that, we may not have had the COVID. I don't know. We should just
that was a very COVID era thing. And also something we noticed now because of COVID.
I was like, look at her. She's spraying it down.
Yeah.
So she mistakenly asks Balky, how are you today? And Balky just tells her his whole day, and it's hilarious. He's like, well, my day started out kind of rough, actually. Cousin there, he wanted to go shopping, but he didn't want to take me with him. So we had kind of a big fight. But then we got here. We've had our ups and downs. But, when you come to think of it, we always have our ups and downs, if you know what I'm saying. And then over there, he let me push the cart for about 5 seconds, which I quite liked a lot. And so I'm happy. I'm happy. How are you today? And she just goes, fine.
Yeah, like she did not want to hear all of that.
Standing there waiting for him to finish before she starts like checking his groceries.
Right.
She does not care about the story. It was so funny.
So she grabs the first item, scans it in, and we don't hear the name, the price, and the name of the item, but instead we hear an alarm goes off in the store. And the clerk, like completely deadpan, bored face, like opens this drawer, grabs a handful of confetti and like just throws it in Balky's face, like with no enthusiasm, nothing. And there's bells ringing, there's confetti, and people are coming, and Balky's like panicking. He's like, I didn't touch anything. And the manager shows up and introduces himself. And Balky's like, the manager, I didn't touch it. Don't call the police. And Larry runs back. Larry's like, Balky, what did you do? What's going on? Whatever he did, he's sorry. Balky's like, I told them I'm sorry, but she keeps throwing paper at me. And then the manager is like, you haven't done anything wrong. And he tells them that they have won the grand opening prize.
Oh, my God. Prize.
Balky gets excited. He says, cousin, we won a prize. And Larry's like, whatever. He scoffs. He rolls his eyes. He's
always
like,
skeptical.
Let's just get our oven mitt or whatever and get out of here.
This part's great.
And then I don't know what Balky thinks an oven mitt is. But he thinks it's something super exciting. He gets so serious and he steps over to the manager and he's like, have we won an oven mitt?
I love the part. He's so serious and so excited. He's like, have we won?
The manager says, no, you've won our grand prize shopping spree. And then in like 1/2 of a moment, Larry suddenly is so excited.
He's excited.
And he's literally jumping up and down. He's like, Balky, did you hear that? And Balky says, well, of course I did. Don't be ridiculous. And Larry says, do you know what this means? And Balky goes, I have no idea. And the cashier just keeps throwing
confetti.
Keeps in a bored way. The bored cashier keeps throwing confetti. The crowd's cheering. They're hugging and jumping up and down. And that is the end of Act 1. So here we have our setup. They're going to have a shopping spree. Now, let's take a moment right now and maybe explain what a shopping spree is.
Do we need to explain what a shopping spree is? They explain it.
You don't really hear about it.
They do.
Later.
He explains the rules. It's pretty. It's pretty clear. But look at here's our guys. Something good has happened to them. Yeah. And maybe it turns bad as these things happen with them. We'll find out. Before we get to Act 2, listener, you want to be part of the conversation, you want to get involved, join our Facebook group where you can meet everybody listening. You can hang out with us. You can share geeky perfect strangers memes.
And memories and thoughts and things you notice from the episode.
I post a thread every week of the episode we are recording that week. So you can catch up. You can watch it on Hulu. It's all streaming on Hulu. And you can ask your question, like, why is the door over there now? What is happening? Yeah. So we'll answer questions like that as best as we can because it comes up every now and then.
Where is the door?
What is that animal vase thing? What is that?
These are all questions
put
questions in by some of our more active listeners and fans in the group. And there's sometimes long exchanges about these little details. So go to the group and check it out and join in the conversation.
Act 2 opens later that night in the apartment, and the door is to the right of the fireplace in this episode. I did notice. Good. It's not on the far left. So Larry's sitting on the couch, staring intently at this piece of paper when Balky comes through the door and leaps onto the sofa next to him, and he goes, "Hi, cousin."
So cute.
So cute, too energetic, because Larry is angry. He's like, where have you been? I've been waiting for you for 2 hours. Balky tells him he was out telling everyone about the shopping spree. He's so excited.
All the neighbors, yeah.
All the neighbors. He goes, I am so excited about all the fun we're going to have tomorrow that I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep a wink tonight. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll just count sheep. And he stands up, and Dimitri is sitting there on the table, and he grabs Dimitri up, looks at him from the nearby chair, and goes, 1. And then laughs at his own joke and goes, where do I come up with them?
This is so cute and funny because I remember we talked about the counting sheep way back in the Insomnia episode. We're like, how come on Meepos they don't count sheep because he didn't know about that. So this joke makes me think that Balky has learned about counting sheep as like a weird American thing, and as a Meeposian, he's like, that's weird. We have sheep, but we don't count them. So now he learned this expression and he makes a joke about it. What? Nice.
And I always love when Dimitri is like part of the story and part of the show.
We're back to the gray Dimitri, the gray hair.
Oh, this is the other Dimitri. So they must have had a couple of Dimitris back there.
Last episode, it was a white wolf.
You gotta have. I mean, there was Olsen twins on Full House, so you need more than one sometimes.
Okay, so Larry is all about business, and he is now a little annoyed because Balky's just looking forward to having fun, right? For this, and Larry's like, "This is no time to fool around, Balky." And Balky's like, you know what? You're right. This is a time to be serious. And then there's this long pause, and he's sitting there looking serious. And then he goes, tomorrow is the time to fool around. And he gets up and he starts doing the Dance of Joy by himself.
The solo Dance of Joy makes an appearance.
Dance of Joy. And then, but he doesn't get too far into it because Larry cuts him off and he says, this shopping spree is serious business. And he goes, now, I have a plan. And right here, Balky's next line like sets up pretty much all the episodes.
Yes, every episode.
Why is it that every time we have a chance to have fun, you have to have a plan? So that sets up sort of their two different mindsets. Balky just wants to have fun. And in fact, Larry says, like, excuse me for being organized. What do you think we're going to do tomorrow? Oh, this is brilliant. Balky says, I thought we would run around the supermarket and every time we see something we like, we throw in the cart it. And then, throw in the cart it thing, But then Larry picks up that same speech pattern. He's like, just run around the supermarket and throw in the cart things. I love it when he like copies his speech like that. So he's like, Balky, we would just end up with 800 pounds of ding dongs. And then Balky's like, I'd also get some cheese franks and potato chips and blah, blah, blah.
And Larry goes, that's a good way to go, Balky. Let's call that Plan Z. And Balky's all excited. He's like, Plan Z. And then he goes, now listen to my plan, which we will call Plan A. And Balky's face is like, oh.
I like it also because there's like the slightest pause between plan and Z so that the audience thinks he's about to say plan B.
And then
but then he says Z and we're like, to the end of the alphabet.
So here's Larry.
Just so mean.
Larry at his neurotic planning best, he grabs Balky by the wrist, pulls him over to the counter, and pulls down this chalkboard with a diagram on it. He goes, I made a diagram of the supermarket and labeled all the sections where we have to go. And then Balky points to the board. He goes, what is this gourmet section? He goes, the gourmet section is where they keep the expensive foods like caviar and escargot. And Balky goes, what are they?
What are they?
And Larry goes, caviar and escargot? Fish, eggs, and snails. And Balky immediately makes a face and starts like throwing up in his mouth a little bit. Larry's trying to explain that they're considered delicacies. And then Balky goes, well, on Meepos, they're considered fertilizer.
He goes,
I don't want to eat that stuff. You can just count me out and down in Beverly Hills. And goes back to the couch.
Of course, he means down and out in Beverly Hills.
We'll talk about what that is. I have an issue with this. Why does he scoff at fish eggs and snails when he's been talking about eating crazy Meeposian things?
Okay, so your issue is very American-centric and a little bit ignorant because things are just different. And like I've eaten crazy things in other countries, but how do we know that what we eat is normal and people want to eat it?
But escargot and caviar, it's not even American.
Yeah, but it's not Meeposian either. It's something that Americans consider like fancy and delicacies, and in Mypos, it's just
pig
used for
snout.
fertilizer.
Yeah, and so
he's
pig
like,
snout is the delicacy.
yeah, like for example, I've lived in other countries for long periods of time, and I remember one time, and I've eaten very strange things that people just eat, no problem. It's normal there.
Yeah.
And one time in one of these settings, I had made a good old fashioned American pumpkin pie. I found all the right spices. I made pumpkin from scratch. And the people I was with hated it. And they said, this tastes like, because of that mix of spices that we use in pumpkin pie.
Cinnamon, nutmeg and stuff.
The comment was, this tastes like medicine that we give our babies.
Oh my God. Okay.
So,
okay, I get it.
It's just different. It's just different. So just because they eat pigs now doesn't mean.
So it's like British people think peanut butter and jelly together is gross.
It's just different. There are a lot of things we eat in America that are like quite strange, I think.
But Mypos is an island. You'd think they'd appreciate fish eggs. That's probably everywhere. It's a great source of protein. I don't know. I've never had caviar.
They appreciate the eyes. The fish eyes are in the medicine, but the fish eggs are fertilizer.
Want to eat the soup while it's hot, different. Otherwise the eyes get tough. Have you ever had caviar or escargot?
I have had both.
Okay. You like any of them are good? I've never had either.
Caviar is all right.
Salty. They're both salty, garlic.
Yeah.
That other reference, Just Count Me Out and Down in Beverly Hills. In 1986, there's a great comedy film called Down and Out in Beverly Hills, which is based on a 1919 French play, which has previously been adapted to a 1932 film.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been done kind of like 3 Men and a Little Baby, right? It's been done over and over again. This movie starred Nick Nolte, Bette Midler, Richard Dreyfuss. Wow. Really funny. Interesting to note, I did not know this. It was released by Touchstone Films, which was a part of the Disney Studios at the time, and it is the first movie Disney released that has an R rating.
Oh,
I did not know that. A funny movie.
Trivia.
Yeah, good movie.
Okay, so they're having this conversation about how caviar and escargot are gross and used as fertilizer, and Balky doesn't want any of that stuff. And Larry's like, Balky, you don't understand. We're not going to eat the food. And then Balky rolls his eyes. He's like, silly me. Why would I think we would eat the food? Of course
we're not going to eat the food.
And he says, this morning I must have got up on the wrong side of my brain.
There's a screwed up reference. But it also makes more sense, maybe a little bit, than bed.
The wrong side of the bed. Yeah, that's weird. Which it means brain. Yeah. Okay. So then Larry explains what his plan is all about. He has talked to the chef at a very fancy restaurant who has agreed to buy everything they get.
I see. He's got
in the shopping spree. So Larry's scheming. Larry's always scheming. He's like, we're going to sell them the food. We're going to take the money and we're going to buy this. And he opens this like magazine catalog thing and he shows a page to Balky, and Balky looks in the page and he says, a living bra. And then it's the wrong page. Larry like shuffles the pages. He's like, no, this. And it's an air conditioner.
Okay, pause for a second. What is a living bra? Do you know?
Idea
you don't know
what a living bra is?
I was trying to look this up a little bit, so my search history now on my computer is a little wacky because it was a product made by Playtex, like way back in the 50s and 60s, and it's like the new Playtex living bra. I found a bunch of old ads.
What is living about it? Like it's comfortable enough to live your life in?
I think it's the first time they used elastic fit as opposed to actually there's a lot of old commercials. I watched this commercial from the 50s and this girl is like, made entirely of elastic, no rubber. I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Rubber?
Why is there rubber? So these things must have been made out of vulcanized rubber back
I like
in the day.
idea of you spending your afternoon watching
I was watching bra commercials from the 60s.
Old-timey bra commercials.
I'm like, what is this living bra and why is he excited? I guess it was a thing.
And your wife walks in and is like,
oh my God, I can explain.
Okay.
It's a perfect stranger's thing.
Anyway, okay, so the plant, Larry wants to buy an air conditioner. Balky says they don't need an air conditioner. Larry reminds him of last summer and how hot it was. And Balky's like, well, it wasn't the heat so much. It was really the humidity, which is like...
I didn't know that stupid joke was that old.
It was really the humidity?
That dumb saying, we were like, oh, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. But
Yeah.
But I didn't know that existed that long of 1987.
And Larry's just like panicking and frustrating. And he's just dying to get Balky to sign on to this plan because he wants that air conditioner. there's this like weird moment where he's like so exasperated. He's like, Balky, the point that I'm so desperately trying to make here is that and then he just stops, having lost all the words in his head. And Balky's like, the air conditioner? And I wonder if that was like actually Mark Lynn-Baker like forgetting the line.
Maybe he forgot
and
the
they
line.
that.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. Or maybe it was like already really hot and he can't. He's just so exasperated that he can't even think. But he could have forgotten the line and they just rolled with it.
And then he's like, the air conditioner will cool off the whole apartment, even your room. And Balky's like, okay. He's like, okay, we'll listen to your plan.
He's back in. Balky's back in on the plan.
So Larry's like, great, perfect. And he grabs him and he pulls him over to the chalkboard where he's made his plan. And here we learn the rules of the shopping spree.
And the plan is great.
We have 1 cart and 3 minutes to get as much as we can. He has like a little, like he does like a little football diagram, right? Strategy diagram. He's like, that means we have to maximize our value per cubic foot of cart space. And he also mentions that the rules say they cannot use any baggage, but it says nothing about pockets. So they're going to plan on wearing special outfits with lots of pockets to add to the amount of space in the cart. Balky starts to tell Larry that he had another outfit picked out.
Yeah, of course he did. I want to see this outfit.
And Larry's like, why don't you just wear that outfit at some other shopping spree? Okay. So then he goes to the plan, to the chalkboard. The plan is first they hit the meat department, then they go straight to the expensive cuts.
Yep.
No ground beef. I repeat, no hamburger.
Check.
That's pretty smart, actually.
Yeah.
Then they'll swing by the produce section and something about cassava crops.
So apparently he's been watching the commodities of produce because he goes, the failure of the cassava crops has pushed the price of these melons right through the roof.
Yes. And then they're going to go to the gourmet section. You get the escargot. I'll get the caviar. If the price of whitefish is still up, we'll clean them out. Any questions so far? And Balky raises his hand. He's like, Balky, like a classroom.
He goes, Balky.
And Balky's like, does Sylvester Stallone do his own stunts? And Larry's like, about the shopping spree. Any questions about the shopping spree? And Balky's like, nope. He's like, okay, good. Let's go back and analyze each section. They start to review again, and we fade out to the end of Act 2.
I bet they were there for hours going over each little detailed.
I have a plan.
You know how these plans go with Larry, listener. Before we find out what they score from the shopping spree, want to let you know if you enjoy the show, consider supporting the show. Visit our website. You can buy us a virtual coffee.
We would be ever so grateful.
It's a virtual tip. Go to danceofjoypod.com/support to buy us multiple coffees. Keep the show going. All the costs go back into making the show and keeping it running. Act 3, sister.
Act 3. It is time for the shopping spree.
Oh my God,
We're
it's time.
Back at the grocery store. There's like a crowd of people gathered to watch. Jennifer and Marianne are there. It's like a big event. Okay. The manager's there. And Balky and Larry are in these oversized overalls. Okay. And Balky's wearing a red shirt underneath. And Larry is wearing like dark green plaid shirt, but it's too dark. If it was a little lighter green, it would have been
contrasty enough. Yeah.
Mario and Luigi, sort of look with the two of them. But yeah, they're these tiny little guys in these big overalls. And Marianne and Jennifer are there to cheer them on. Balky asks Marianne if she needs anything besides the shampoo. She says no. And Jennifer asks Larry if he'll have time to get her nail polish. And he's like, what? And that's when Balky tells Larry that he has told the girls that he would pick up a few things for them.
Oh, boy.
And Larry is not happy because he just wants to stick to the plan. And he pulls Balky aside and excuses themselves, and he's like, what are you doing? And Balky explains that he thought it would be nice to get some things for their neighbors, like Mrs. Schlegelmilch.
Schlegelmilch!
Some salami.
Oh my God, we got a Schlegelmilch mention.
And Larry's like, we can't do that. They have 3 minutes only, and Balky shouldn't have promised people that he was going to get things for them. And he's like, because it's going to throw the plan way off.
And Balky goes, well, then we just changed the plan. And Larry goes, change the plan? We can't change the plan right before we start. Why do you think they call it a plan?
A plan.
Larry is so neurotic. It's hilarious. When the manager comes out, grabs the microphone to announce the contest is about to start, he introduces Balky and Larry. Marianne screams, "Yay!" way too loud. Both times. You can hear her. It's hilarious. He sets this timer on the wall as he repeats the rules again. He says you will have exactly 3 minutes to cross this finish line before the buzzer sounds, or you lose everything. And he tells them to take their marks. I noticed this clock on the wall. I don't know if it's a clock or a wall
like a countdown timer.
Yeah, but you can only do 3 minutes and less on this thing. Seems very limited use on this.
It's for boiling eggs.
Oh, okay. It's an egg timer. It's a large wall that only does one thing. Does that tell you the time? No, but I know when my eggs are done. It's
3
great.
minutes. Yes.
So they get ready to go, and at the starting line, before he tells them to go, Balky's like, "Cousin, I don't understand why we don't have time to be nice to our neighbors." And Larry's like, "Look, I'll tell you what. We'll throw them a dinner party. Stick to the plan." And the manager yells, "Ready, set, shop." And they are off to do some physical comedy here, sister.
Physical comedy, of course.
Yes.
Of course. What else are we going to have in a shopping spree in a
You got to have the
grocery
physical
store?
comedy.
So this is how it goes. Larry runs straight and Balky takes a turn with the cart and Larry's like, "What the?" And he went to go look for Marianne's shampoo. Larry runs around to find him, turns him around. They go through like the aisles a couple of times. He's like, "We got to stick to the plan." And Larry's of course like frantic and panicky. They go to the meat section and, Balky's at the cart, Larry's at the meat freezer, and he goes, roast. And Balky yells, 3. And then Larry tosses them up in the air. Balky catches them while he's counting. Roast 1.
2.
Roast 2. Roast 3.
Meat is
then they go,
flying
ham.
through the air.
And Balky goes, 4. And the same thing, ham 1, ham 2. And then Larry goes, turkey. And Balky's like, "Oh, God." And he like catches these huge turkeys, 3 of them. And then Larry goes, pheasants. And Balky goes, 9. But before he can catch the first pheasant, Balky sees the salami and he says, "Salami." And he runs to the salami to get it for Mrs. Schlegelmilch. And he starts shoving sticks of salami into his overalls. And Larry's just throwing pheasants and they're landing on the ground.
He's just hitting the ground. He's throwing them to no one. It's so funny.
And he's like, "I got to get Mrs. Schlegelmilch. She's making antipasto." And then Larry like grabs him by the overalls. He's like, "Balky, forget the salami. We've got to get to the casabas." First of all, what's a casaba?
Casaba is a melon.
They're not saying casava. I know.
No, it's a casaba. Casaba melon. You know a casaba melon?
Honeydew. Yeah,
it's a melon. And Larry's waving around this salami threateningly too at Balky, which is hilarious. And then the manager goes, 2 minutes. Uh-oh. So now Balky's in front of the cart, Larry's behind the cart, and they're heading to the casabas when Balky makes another unscheduled turn. He turns right down the aisle, pulling Larry, who is now off his feet, leaning into the cart, going for a ride. Balky's still trying to get Marianne's shampoo as they go to the next aisle, come back. But as they come back, Larry starts to push Balky, lifting Balky off his feet as they come to the end of the aisle. And now they're at a deadlock. They're both pushing the cart at each other. It's going nowhere. Balky reaches up and goes, "Oh, the shampoo." And then while he's struggling, he turns to Marianne. He goes, "Squeeze bottle or tube." And then Larry goes, "Okay, all right." He dumps all the shampoo into the cart, and then Balky just yells, "Shampoo!" And then they're off to the gourmet section, but have to circle around again as Balky sees diapers that he needs to get. Larry pushes
for another neighbor.
Larry pushes him past the diapers. Balky's now sitting in the cart, grabbing diapers off the shelf. They circle back around to the gourmet section.
First of all, there was a lot of circling around the aisles. This supermarket was pretty small.
Yes.
They could have saved a lot of time by now, but they made it more comical.
That's great.
So they find the white fish at another cooler in the gourmet section in the middle of the store. And Larry's like, "Balky, it's $19.95 a pound." And he starts throwing these like large, loose, slimy fish over his shoulder. And Balky's
real fish?
Catching them and he's putting them in the cart. Then the cart gets full. He starts putting them in his overalls.
These are real fish too. Like this, I don't know if these are prop fish. They look like real fish.
And at this point, like there's so much commotion. Bronson Pinchot is like laughing to himself because he's putting like slimy fish in his in his overalls, and they're ticklish. The audience, the extras in the back are cracking up. It's just like this. Everyone's laughing, and Larry's going frantic and throwing around
It's
these
so
fish.
good.
Bronson Pinchot's trying to grab onto these slippery fish and catch them.
And he's wearing now an overalls full of fish
And salamis.
And salamis as the manager goes, 30 seconds. And Larry goes, we have 30 seconds to get the caviar. And he pulls the cart to the end of the aisle. And he's about to sweep all the caviar in the cart as Balky goes, but cousin, if we don't go right now, we lose everything. Balky pulls the cart away. All the caviar falls on the floor. And then Larry's like, I'm not leaving without the caviar, and dives down on the floor. Balky pulls the cart back as they're counting down 10 seconds.
And you see Larry's like feet hooked around the cart. So now he's dragging Larry on the ground. And Larry's arms on the ground are draped over all those cans of caviar that fell down.
And one cassava melon, but they managed to make it over the line in time and get
as they're
everything.
all counting down from 10. Yes, from 10 seconds.
And the crowd cheers, and Balky shakes Larry's hand, and they actually made it. You're expecting something to go wrong. And so far, nothing's gone wrong.
They made it. They didn't lose. Yeah, you were totally expecting them to like lose everything.
Yeah, right? Because for a stupid, selfish mistake or something.
They made some bad decision under pressure.
So I'm like, again, good luck. These guys have, they're actually getting some benefit this episode.
Yeah, they got it. So, and in fact, we cut to the next scene, which is later that night at the apartment. They're still in their overalls. They come in with this wad of cash. And it turns out they've made $635 from selling all that fancy food to the chef.
Yeah, it's not bad.
At the fancy restaurant. And Balky says, cousin, that's enough to buy the air conditioner and the living bra.
Okay.
Which is kind of actually really funny if you think about it, because I don't know if you know this, but bras are really super expensive. Especially nice quality ones. I don't know how much they were in 1987, but right now they're expensive. So, yeah, that's enough to buy the air conditioner and a bra.
And then they sit at the counter, and Balky goes, and we had fun, too. And Larry, who has already gone to the refrigerator to grab a bottle of antacid, he goes, you had fun. And Balky's like, well, cousin, always. That's why they call me the Jerry Lewis of Meepos. We don't have to explain who Jerry Lewis is, right? Comedian, telethon,
yes.
Jerry Lewis. Anyways,
fun guy.
He's a fun guy, and Larry is not. As he's opened the antacid, he takes a swig of it. He goes, why is it always work for me and fun for you?
Which is the whole point, I think, of this episode is like just really nailing down that dynamic.
By the way, I don't know where lesson time is in any of this. I don't even know if there is a lesson here.
I don't think there's a lesson. Okay. It's just about just setting up this dynamic, I think, between the two of them where like Larry always makes it a big deal with plans and stuff, and Balky just wants to have fun. And he, in fact, says to him that he spends so much time making plans that he doesn't leave enough time to have fun. And Larry's like, that's not true.
Oh, cousin, comma. Balky goes, all right, what are you going to do now? You're going to make a plan to buy an air conditioner. And Larry's like, well, that only makes sense. You've got to comparison shop. You got to find the best deal. Balky goes, yes, but cousin, you're not going to have any fun. Larry goes, I'll have an air conditioner. And Balky goes, yes, but you're not going to have any fun. And Larry again goes, I'll have an air conditioner. I mean, Larry has a good point also. You got to comparison shop when you're buying a large appliance.
And then there was a little bit of a swap in the dynamic here because Balky goes, cousin, do you want to have fun? And then he goes, do you want to have fun?
Yes, I do.
Larry finally breaks down, kind of crying. He's like, yes, I do. Balky says, okay, listen, on Meepos we have a saying. He goes, if yodi vizwiki, opo sticky peaky tiki.
No, but you gotta slow down. He goes, opo sticky peaky tiki.
And then he says, need I say more? And then it's just quiet for a beat. And then Larry's like, yeah, a little more might be helpful. And he says, it says, if you let your hair down, you might be surprised what you find in it.
Ew, what's in his hair?
Like
Balky, if you notice when he says the first part, he does like run his fingers through his hair.
And so Larry goes, yeah, okay, you're right. And then he's resolved. He's like, I'm going to learn to have fun. Balky's going to teach me to have fun. And Larry gives him all the cash, $635. He's like, I don't care how you do it. I just want you to spend this. I know whatever you do is going to be fun, a little bit crazy and spontaneous. gives him all the cash. He just gives up on the air conditioner.
Such a not Larry thing to do. It doesn't last long, but because Balky goes, cousin, 635 smackaroos. And Larry goes, you know what? I feel terrific. I feel like this weight has been lifted from my shoulders. And Balky goes, well, you know, I do too. And then they laugh together, and they both simultaneously go, ah. And then Balky goes, well, and he gets up and turns away. And Larry's like, wait, Balky, what are you going to do with all that money? He goes, wait a minute. Do I have a plan? And Larry's like, no, that's not what I mean. He just like, if I'm going to learn how to be less rigid, I want to know how you're going to do it in a very loose, structured, free kind of way. He goes, well, I'll tell you. And then Balky, it's weird. He walks back and he has this like little bounce as he walks back to Larry. He goes, Marianne is going to have a birthday soon. And I thought what I would do is rent one of those aeroplanes that spits smoke out of the back and write it in the sky. And I would have it say, happy birthday, Marianne, from guess who? He goes, now, doesn't that sound like fun? Doesn't it, cousin? And then Larry just stops and goes, Balky, give me the money, as he reaches for the money and grabs it, and they struggle over the money.
And roll credits. So the lesson is just, I don't know, there's no lesson. There's no like explicit lesson between them, but it's just setting up this these character conflicts.
I have a lesson for the listener. If they want to show how much they love this show and that they're part of the Dance of Joy Army, they should go to our website and buy some merch from our TeePublic shop, danceofjoypod.com/shop. We got lovely t-shirts and cell phone cases and face masks and hoodies, tank tops, lovely, comfortable swag gear.
Get your swag. Be part of the club. Be part of the cool kids. All the cool kids are getting the Dance of Joy t-shirts.
Send us a photo if you buy anything. We'd love to see it. Okay, this episode, while not having a lesson and kind of another kind of straightforward one like last episode, it was a lot of fun. The physical comedy was
fun. The setup was fun, even though unrealistic, because I do believe that by this time, Balky should have already learned the ins and outs of American grocery store shopping.
Possibly.
He's been in America long enough.
I did relate with the sentiment at the end where he's like, I always have fun no matter where, because that's how I try to live my life. Like, even at work, like, you got to have fun no matter what you're doing. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it?
For sure.
Just have fun. Yeah. Let's talk about the cash register girl.
Okay.
Kimmy Robertson is the name of the actress that plays her, and she is hilarious. We will see her again in season 7.
Oh.
But she is best known. She was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I don't know if you remember. She's in Speed 2. She was done in the 80s. She was in tons of things. ER, done lots of voices. She did a voice on The Simpsons. In 1992. She was on Twin Peaks and great 80s things.
Yeah, she's done a lot of things.
Yeah,
one of these familiar faces from the 80s and 90s. Also, if you were wondering about that 3-minute shopping spree, and if you were noticing, how long was that was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds in real time on the show.
3 minutes.
Probably this was just some editing choices and cuts.
They gypped us out of 30
filmed
seconds.
3 minutes and they just cut some of it out of it. I think it would have been fun to like actually do it in real time.
They could have done it in real time. We get a Schlegel-Milch mention. Remember her?
Yeah.
Mrs. Schlegel-Milch. She's crazy. So she also moved with them in this new magically renovated building overnight, I guess? Okay.
I guess so. Schlegel-Milch moved. Jennifer and Marianne moved. Yes.
I also found out all the food they used, which we mentioned there's a lot of produce, a lot of name brands. Apparently, they donated all the food after shooting this episode.
Yeah, I wondered, because if you notice in the grocery store, it's all name brand stuff, and you can see all the labels,
so
and I guess it wasn't a problem with product placement then, but...
well, and especially if you're donating it later, and you can just tell, the brands or whatever.
Maybe,
it's a good
but
thing.
like, it's weird, because previously in this show, we've definitely seen like fake brands, like Raisin Poofs and the sodas, the generic sodas
beer.
they drink.
It's just beer.
The cans that just say beer. In this particular episode, everything was name brand. The rice, we saw potato chips, we saw cereal boxes, everything was like real brand.
Yeah, that was weird. Two great Dimitri appearances. We talked about the one where he's counting them. One.
Yeah.
But did you notice Dimitri at the end of the episode?
Yep. He's on that little counter in the kitchen, and he's got balloons behind him, and he's got a shopping basket full of groceries.
And there's you see like Campbell's soup and peanut butter and tiny little name brand mock-ups of it's
tiny
so
groceries.
Cute.
So cute.
For Dimitri.
Okay, we have some great Balkyisms in this episode. You can count me out and down in Beverly Hills.
Backwards.
And this morning I must have got up on the wrong side of my brain. Don't be ridiculous is said twice.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
We also have some good Larry lines. We have got to watch and learn.
I love that.
We have Larry going, hey, to Balky after he tells him not to do something.
We got Balky after Larry goes, Balky, do you know what this means? Balky going, I have no idea. Which he does a lot. He's done that a couple of times. He laughs at his own joke and goes, where do I come up with them?
We've got Larry saying, I have a plan. And some other stuff. We have some other running gags in this episode.
Yeah, I always love when he goes, take this rice. Don't take the rice.
Take the rice.
Being literal. Try to stop him.
Antacid comes back. We haven't seen the antacid for
That's
a
true.
while.
He's back to drinking. Yeah, antacid.
We have a little bit of a dance of joy, 2 seconds of a solo dance of joy.
He gets 3 steps in.
We've got some Meposian saying.
I love the
Meposian saying in the translation. And then we've got a coordinated laugh and sigh with Balky and Larry.
And a couple times where they go, do you? Do you? Do you want to learn?
Do you? Do you
want
to have fun? Okay.
Do you?
So now we are at the segment of our show called Perfect Strangers Today, in which we think about if this show were happening today, how would things be different?
Well, I don't know about how different, but it instantly reminded me of the great game show Supermarket Sweep. Have you ever seen this?
Yeah, but that doesn't exist. It does exist today.
This is a game show. It started in the late 60s. Has been revived a few times in the 90s, early 2000s. Last year, they brought it back with Leslie Jones hosting a new version. But, I mean, the idea is similar. You try to rack up. So the strategy I always thought is funny on these shows because some of it is you want the highest bill at the end. You want that. So they buy the expensive things and have to strategize how many things they can fit and get the most expensive things. And then I was watching the Food Network. There's another show, Guy Fieri.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
Guy's grocery games on the Food Network, and he kind of combines the supermarket sweep with a cooking show.
You know what I think they should do since they're bringing these back? I want to see Supermarket Sweep, but in a Costco, and it'll be combined with American Ninja Warrior.
Oh my God, where you have to parkour your way to the case of toilet paper up on the top.
You got to climb up the shelf. Yeah, exactly.
It could be, you could add an incredible element of physical fitness and cardio in a Costco.
American Supermarket Warrior.
Warrior. Why isn't this a game show? Oh my God, this is fantastic.
American Supermarket Ninja Warrior.
You got a monkey bar over to the cereal section and then carry a box of cereal while you're swinging down. This is great. I want to see this show. Somebody make it happen.
You end up running 3 miles around
sweating,
the
and you're holding cassava melons and lettuce.
All right, we talked about these talking registers in this episode. I have never seen that. We don't really have that now. I guess we could for hard of hearing folks.
We have Amazon Echoes and these Google stuff talks now. A lot of stuff talks all the time. Everything talks.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm glad the register doesn't talk because if you're buying something embarrassing and then it just announces it, what people all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to hide my food shame. I bought the large Nutella. Do you have to announce it to everyone?
Exactly.
Nutella, 12 ounce, $13.99. Shh, quiet.
Yeah.
But the dude paying with a check made me think about the first time I used the Apple Pay on my phone, and I just held the phone up to the thing, and it goes boodink, and I was like, oh my God.
That's so dangerous.
That's amazing. I didn't have to pull out my wallet or nothing.
I don't use my phone. I still use good old-fashioned credit cards.
I went back to a card, but because sometimes they don't work, but just the convenience and how you pay for things now is wild.
Oh, yeah. Well, now you can just order your groceries to get delivered at home. You don't even have to go
Amazon has 2-hour produce deliveries now that they're starting. The other question I had regarding the shopping spree itself as a promotional incentive.
I've never heard of these in real life. I've only ever seen them on TV shows.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good question. I feel like this is not a cost-effective promotion if you're running a business, let's say. What I wouldn't do, I would kill for 5 minutes in Target. I would destroy. I'd run to the Apple, computer section, take all the iPads.
American Supermarket Ninja.
But the thing is,
Warrior Sweep.
It's fun, but this is not like an economically sound business plan because they're just going to go take the expensive stuff.
Okay, if you had, 5 minutes is too much.
5
minutes. If you had 3 minutes in a Target, what's your strategy there?
You go to the electronics section, you grab all the video games and the iPads and all Apple products.
Those are all locked down.
No, this is shopping. None of this is locked down. This is a shopping spree. Everything's open.
It takes you 15 minutes to find a Target employee to unlock that.
Oh, damn it. Then the buzzer goes off. I'm like, I didn't even get my first thing. Does anybody work here? I don't know. What would you do?
Well, I mean, it depends. Are you going to resell that stuff? Probably, right?
I'm an Apple guy. I use them all. I'll just be in Apple heaven.
If I had 3 minutes in a Target, definitely. Oh, speaking of bras, definitely.
Oh, yeah. You grab all the bras. There you go.
It would take a while to find the right sizes.
It doesn't matter. You grab all of them. You sort it out.
They're like so expensive.
Listen, you sort them out later. You sell the rest of them to your skinny friends.
Actually, I would do anything that falls under the pink tax, right? Because everything's so expensive.
Oh.
I would get feminine hygiene products. I would get all the stuff that we ladies pay extra taxes
That's smart.
for because they're like quote unquote luxury items.
You could stock up on coffee.
Electronics. I guess I would go with the expensive
televisions. Could I just take televisions?
You could just take
This
televisions.
is why they don't do shopping sprees, listener.
Certainly
anymore.
in a Target. What about if it was just a supermarket?
I would do the same thing. You go for the pricey cuts of meats.
Yeah. Ribeyes.
All
stock up on
the
ribeyes.
meat and with seafood you can get, and maybe ding dongs. I don't know. I would just get a lot of chocolate and junk food. I would end up getting a lot of junk food. It wouldn't go well.
What if it was like a Whole Foods?
Oh,
right.
Well,
Larry would lose his mind.
Yes,
okay, so that's another thing about Perfect Strangers today. Larry's freaking out about like $3 hot dog packets. Like
$7 for lettuce?
Whole Foods would give him a heart attack.
Can you imagine Larry at a Whole Foods?
$8 for a dozen of eggs.
Okay, I have a plan, and that plan is to walk out of this place. This is a ripoff. What's going on here?
Okay, well, yeah. So the bigger differences would be like the groceries, the prices, how you pay for stuff. They don't have shopping sprees anymore. What would this episode even be about? But weirdly, they still print those like newsprint circulars for the bigger supermarket chains.
Oh, you have your sale. Yeah, your sale.
They still have those sales circulars.
Even the smaller,
the
local produce places have their circulars. You gotta know what's on sale. And plum tomatoes are on sale this week. I'm going in. Okay, good stuff. Let's get to our Balky Duds segment. Here it is.
Hey, Imran and Sophia and everybody out there in Perfect Strangers Land.
Hi, Rainey.
Rainey from Balky Duds here to talk a little bit about Season 3, Episode 5, Better Shop Around. This episode was really fun, especially because I have worked in a number of grocery stores over the years. Not for a very long time now, but wow, bringing back some memories there. So as far as the Balky Duds in this episode, obviously, yet again, Camp Anti-Gravity. This vest just sticks around, and I'm really feeling at this point like this must have been a personal favorite of Bronson / Balky. I would bet you anything that he chose to wear this one often because it looks really comfortable. That's all I can think. And of course, it's fabulous. We've got some suspenders and kind of a more regular shirt going in a little later in the middle of the episode. And then, during the shopping spree, the overalls. Now, this is not just a Balky dud. This is a Larry dud as well. This is some serious, gruesome twosome, flotsam and jetsam tag team overall action. My two questions are as follows. Number one. Were they intentionally alluding to Mario and Luigi?
Oh my God, she picked up on the Mario and Luigi thing.
She did.
Okay, maybe because they wear overalls.
When did Mario Brothers come out?
Oh my, that's been out since 1982, early 80s.
Oh, okay.
It was at 86. Mario was huge.
That's right. Okay.
This was, I don't know, I lost track of the years here. Was this like 87, 88, right? This is 88, I think. I think regular Nintendo was around. I'm pretty sure Mario and Luigi were around.
Yes.
So if this was intentional, my second question is then, why is Larry Luigi? Were they trying to allude to it but not like too strongly? Did they not want to get sued? Not like you can sue somebody just for wearing overalls. Anyway, I'm going off the rails, but that's what I had to say about that.
So if they had mustaches, oh my God, they would be dead ringers, Mario and Luigi.
I think Larry is Luigi because he's always been in the green and blue tones more than anything else. Sometimes he wears red, but it kind of goes along with his
Mario
wardrobe.
Is the lead. It's me, Mario. It's Mario.
Yeah.
Love it. You love it. Hopefully I'll not see you. Hopefully you'll hear me again next week or very soon. See you later. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at ValkyDuds. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Rainey.
Of course, that's Rainey who delivers every week. Follow her on Instagram at ValkyDuds. She's got a spreadsheet with tabs, people. There's tabs of the clothing. It's a very well done. Thank you so much, Rainey. A couple of shout outs to mention, sister.
Yeah, we have Cousin John from Colorado. We're now calling all of our regular listeners cousins. Cousin John from Colorado, who writes in often. Just a couple highlights that he points out about this episode. Remember when Larry says any questions and Balky says, is Sylvester Stallone still do his own stunts? Well, Cousin John comes to us with the answer. According to an article from October 2020, Sylvester Stallone is still doing his own stunts.
Wow, he's like 72 years old.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, he should probably not maybe get the younger guy there.
And John from Colorado also points out the Mario Luigi vibe. Again, Larry is in green, but it could have been like a brighter green to really nail that down.
It's funny how everybody picked up on the Mario and Luigi thing.
It's just the overalls, I think.
Yeah.
No,
but
colors.
in the red, and then he should have just had a bright green shirt on.
And then we also have some comments from both Cousin John and Cousin Evelyn about showing some love and appreciation for the Kimmy Robertson character, the cashier.
It's totally radical.
Who was delightfully funny. She only had a few moments, but it was just her delivery and her face and her deadpanness. That was very funny.
So 80s. Well, that's good for this week, everybody. Next week, Larry thinks Balky is stealing his girlfriend. What?
What are we talking about?
Oh my God. That's the way we can't, you can't let a girl come between you guys.
What is that all about? Join us again next week to find out more of what's going on there. In the meantime, check us out, as always, danceofjoypod.com. That's our main website. There you can find all the links for all the podcast apps where you can subscribe and like and leave us a rating and a review. You will also find there all of our social media links. We're on the Facebooks, we're on the Twitters, and we're on the Instagrams at Dance of Joy Pod, everywhere on socials. And you can also on our website leave us a message. You can either email us at danceofjoypod@gmail.com or press the little button on the bottom right of the main page and leave us a voice message. And most importantly, what is most important, Imran?
You gotta press record. That's how you podcast. I mean, share this show with a friend.
For the listeners.
Oh, for them. Yeah. No, that's most important for them. Share it. Get us some listeners. Spread the joy and the hilarity that is Perfect Strangers. All episodes streaming on Hulu. Watch it along with us. Thank you so much for listening. And now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy. We do the dance of joy. Die, 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 die. Hey, 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 hey.